welcome to Fastbreak Breakfast NBA Podcast. My name is Keith Parrish, here once again with my buddy through the miracle of computer phone. I'm here with John Burr.
Hey now.
Yeah, you got to go hey now and then do your new call sign. Kudos to me.
I don't know. We'll see about my new call sign later in the show. There might be a staggering development.
Oh no,
Chuck can't be with us.
Chuck's out.
I think the damned Mavericks blew his back out on Friday.
Yeah, so Chuck he's down with a back injury. Well, that part's real.
Doubtful.
He had the very unfortunate circumstance of we're hosting our Grizzlies watch party on Friday, which, by the way, I mean, Great crowd, great time. We had Patreon supporters in from all across the nation,
coast to coast. David
from Las Vegas. Who, here's the thing, he was upset in our Slack that I didn't mention him. It's like we got listeners coming from Portland and Indianapolis. Here's the thing, I didn't know he was coming. That's on me.
Yeah.
I mean, I was excited he was here.
Until I was confronted with their actual visages, I did not believe any of them were coming.
Right. I might have said the wrong thing to him when he's like, maybe my wife will think it's less weird that I listen to this show now that I've actually been here and met you guys. And I'm like, does it seem less weird for you to travel here and hang out with us than it did just listen?
Well, he was here for work.
He had a work trip. So it's not weird at all, David.
Psychotics.
Thank you for the support. Thank you for the support, everyone. But at this watch party, so Chuck has to show up, which, if that's not bad enough for Chuck, the Heat and Mavs are playing before the Grizzlies-Lakers game, and the Heat are getting humiliated, and Chuck's now injured. He's out with severe pain. By the way, I got to a little more business for I want to welcome our new Patreon supporters, Charles Crabtree and Adam Pike. So thanks to you guys for signing up. And
both sound like names from a Sam Peckinpah movie.
Yeah. And David was saying that we don't push it enough, that the Slack channel is awesome and people should sign up for our Patreon purely to join the Slack. So I'm telling you right now, patreon.com/fastbreakbreakfast. Join the Slack, $3 a month. You get a awesome community of basketball diehards talking about all kinds of great stuff. So
games, weird channels dedicated to things NBA related you could never even imagine.
Yeah.
Just to give you some, also, maybe not, if there's some things you pine for on the internet that are behind paywalls, it's a magical place where things just drop into place for you.
Speaking of like maybe illegal pirated streams, I just found out there's, an illicit gambling site, which I may or may not have used. They have like streams for every game just like. Oh,
wow.
Yeah.
For live betting purposes, I assume?
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, hey, you want to watch this game? I'm like, what, really? And it's like, oh.
Yes, I do.
That works really well. Okay, blacked out Hawks game, which I pay for but still can't see somehow. I will watch the Hawks and Bulls play. Thank you very much. Chuck has back pain. You and I in our lives have struggled with foot pain on and off. We have I
have all the fat related pains, back, foot.
Yeah, we've done the plantar fasciitis, much like
felt something snap in my ass.
Yeah. Shea Gilgeous and Josh Giddey and Tim Duncan. I have this new nightmare foot pain, phantom pain. It is unlike my previous foot pain where it's like, hey, it hurts if I walk, or hey, it hurts if I bend my foot this way. If you press right there, it feels like I'm getting stabbed. I've had these constantly. I have a new one where if I'm motionless and there's no warning whatsoever, I have like 15 seconds of extreme agony. And it doesn't matter if I move my foot. It doesn't matter if I change what I'm doing. It just goes. And I can't figure out what causes it. And it basically causes my eyes to water. At first, I thought I was having a heart attack in my foot. My wife's like, you can't have a heart attack in your foot. I'm like, am I having a stroke in my foot?
You can have a leg attack.
I'm like, am I having a stroke? She's like, your foot's not connected to anything. So you're not dying. Just having pain. I'm like, all right, great.
Had your wife recently made you a mushroom omelet before these pains?
That's right. She's just slow. She's like, don't worry about it. You can't feel your legs? Yeah, it's fine. Are you nauseous all the time?
Did you taste almonds for some reason?
So,
no reason in particular.
So this pain intensifies to the point where it's happening like daily, and I'm like, this is insane. I guess I'm gonna go to a doctor. You know, my wife's like, go see a foot guy. You know, maybe there's something I don't know about. So I go to the.
I believe those are called proctologists, no podiatrists.
Yeah. I go to this orthopedic foot guy. I tell him about this nightmare pain. Like, hey man, it lights up. It wakes me up in the night sometimes. Like, I can push on the spot when it's going on. Doesn't change anything. Doesn't hurt. Doesn't it just inside like violent nerve pain. And the foot specialist goes, whoa, man, that's wild. And that's it. It's like, that's crazy, dude. Like, thanks. That was a good $50 copay.
You're like Bo Jackson. New and frightening injuries that only mythological heroes can achieve.
Yeah, he gave me some, like, I haven't picked up this prescription. I think it's just some like topical anesthetic. He's like, here's a thing, just rub it on your foot.
Oh, is it blue emu oil?
No, I've done that. It's not over the counter.
Yeah.
I mean, I've definitely done the blue emu oil.
Just slather my entire body.
Yeah.
You know it's bad when you put it on your body and your pets start running away from you. You're like, what's going on here? This can't be good.
So I'm dealing with that foot pain.
Reminds me of the time I went to my orthopedist and he said, I've never seen this before, but you limp in both legs. I'm like, huh?
Yeah. That's the last time I was at a Grizzlies game. There was a person who was apparently living on the street who just called out to me, I believe based on my gait, hey man, did you serve? And I was like, no, I'm not wounded. That's just how I walk. Nothing even hurts right now. Like, I don't even have anything wrong with me that I know of. Anyways, or that the doctors can figure out what's wrong with this. Anyways, Jon, breakfast. Have you had a breakfast today before we get to the basketball?
Was had.
Magaz.
We were podcasting. I made the journey.
Yeah.
I hope some of our slackers did the Magaz experience. I
while they were here in town? Yeah.
I pushed it hard. I will say Magaz's new ownership, there has been a slight slip.
Oh no.
Things are a little sweeter these days, which, as you know, not for me.
Yeah.
I need my savory blast, but it's still pretty darn good. And it feels like it's returning to form as well.
Well, that's good. Did you get your normal blueberry cake?
Blueberry cake and a lemon filled. That's my new combo.
Well, that's you're ordering the sugary one. They don't make a savory lemon filled.
I'm mostly referring to my blueberry.
Oh, the blueberries are sweeter and sweeter.
Their jelly filled are just classic.
Gotcha. So instead of a breakfast, I'm actually wearing right now a new shirt for a donut truck in Los Angeles.
Wow. Hustle and dough, it reads.
It is yet another classic Memphis Grizzlies logo homage. Friend, enemy of the show, Dave DeForest sent it to me. It's Hustle and Dough in the classic Grizzlies Bear Vancouver original OG logo, the Grizzly Bear.
Referencing the Craig Brewer film starring that actor who was famous very briefly. What is it? Trevor Howard?
Trevor? One of those is right.
Trevor Howard?
Yeah.
One of the great unimpressive nude scenes of all time. Trevor Howard. Making it safe for guys like me to get naked on film.
The Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard.
Yeah, I knew it wasn't right.
I think Trevor Howard is like a 1930s like Tyrone Power co-star.
Yeah. But the Grizzlies Bear on this logo, which is copyright owned by the Memphis Grizzlies, they in this one he's holding a donut. So he's holding a donut in its claw.
To beat the copyright, do they give the Grizzly Bear like 3 eyes or anything like that?
They didn't. They could have tried that, but they did not. I believe that's a copy and paste right there. Anyways, those were our breakfasts. After our breakfast, we moved to our breakfast in bed apologies, which is our chance to make right anything which we may have gotten wrong on a previous episode. It's frequently, and it is this episode, the first time that we talk about the NBA, which the show is supposed to be about. Jon, what would you like to apologize for?
I feel like I need to continue apologizing to the Kings.
Sure, that's fair.
My Domantas Sabonis snub for the All-Star game is getting more embarrassing by the second.
Yeah.
Everything I learn about, I'm as we know from the one time MVP tracker Game of Scones, I always have the MVP tracker up on my screen, and he remains in the top 5.
Yes.
Furthermore, I guess because of the presence of Jokic, we don't realize stuff like this, but he's averaging the most assists pretty much ever in a season by a big man who isn't Jokic or Wilt Chamberlain, who once led the league in assists.
Yeah.
He just annihilated my Grizzlies by 33 points.
Yeah.
And just frequent, and also just watching them, I said things like, I'm chalking this up to more like a team experience. Well, that's not true. If you watch the Kings, he's point Jokicing this. He is the team. He is making this happen. And honestly, if I'm going to say that, I shouldn't be saying, well, I didn't want to give them a slot because I think De'Aaron Fox has been just as good. De'Aaron Fox has been good enough to be an all-star also. So he should probably have been on my all-star ballot instead of one of my silly picks. So it just keeps happening to me.
I think when we did our all-stars 2 weeks ago, we basically felt like we had to include Paul George and Zion. And now I think we've been let off the hook a little bit, where it's like, all right, maybe they haven't played enough games eventually. And so, like, I had Sabonis in as my last guy.
I said Draymond Green, and I think the Warriors are like sub 500 now. So I don't know.
There was no excuse for the Draymond Green nonsense. Also, last week on the show, I pitched it to you that the Kings were plus 340 in Vegas to win the Pacific Division, which at that point they were leading by 2.5 games. They're now plus 170 a week later.
Yeah.
They're 3.5 games up in the Pacific Division.
I'd also, I think in some ways, like to apologize for even caring about home away splits anymore. Like I kept bringing it up for the Blazers, and clearly that doesn't matter. And the Kings are about to hit their big road stretch.
Oh, I wasn't.
The Kings win every game on the road anyways. Who cares?
I wasn't going to say anything, but since you told me the Trailblazers were good, they've had a tiny bit of a rough
said Chauncey Billups looks like he's good. The last 3 games I watched of the Blazers,
Blazers are in 13th.
All fireable offenses.
They are. Blazers are having a tough go. The Blazers.
I mean, the Blazers are making it okay for Pat Beverly to make the broken watch sign at Dame Lillard during games.
I mean, Pat Beverly was like plus 27 in that game. plus minus.
Dillon Brooks.
The Lakers in that game, by the way, the Lakers, if you don't know, they lost the second quarter by 32. This is Lakers Blazers from Sunday. They were outscored 45.
Well, that might have happened against the Grizzlies, so never mind.
12. No, it was like the third biggest differential in a quarter ever. I think the biggest was, this is a great time to remember, the biggest differential in a quarter in NBA history is 36. Back in 1987, the Lakers were leading the Kings after the first quarter 40-4. 40-4 in a first quarter, which is incredible.
Wow.
But this was the second time in NBA history a team has lost a quarter by 30 points and won that game. The last time, 1972, the Buffalo Braves were down by 43 to the Celtics entering the fourth quarter and only lost by 8. So
Bob McAdoo must have been out that game.
Yeah, so this was an unbelievable game where the Lakers rally from like whether down 25 at the half or something, but they get outscored by 30 in a quarter. And and
now
Patrick
they've reunited Thomas
talking.
Bryant and Rui Hachimachi.
Oh,
wow.
It's so good. Also, going back to those the Pacific Division, so the Kings are several games clear. Looking at the odds, still basically the Suns and Warriors have the same odds as the Kings to win the Pacific Division. The Clippers, who are actually in second, are plus 650. I kind of like that one. I mean, we wrote off the Clippers a while ago. Kawhi Leonard in his last 7 games, he's averaging 30 points per game, 7 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals on 55% field goals, 53% from 3, 94% from the line. By the way, Kawhi's playing
call.
37 minutes a game. Is that prudent?
Why not?
Why not?
Get what
It's
you
one
can.
of those, if I'm all dressed up.
While you can.
Yeah, if I'm all dressed up, just play me, man. I mean,
You need to do this before he experiences phantom pain in his feet.
Oh, he probably has that. He probably knows what to do about it. Yeah, no, the Kings are solid. The Kings are quite good. Sabonis an easy all-star. But
I let Steven Adams get my head. Steven Adams was absent from the game.
Yeah, I mean, yes. Sabonis did 0 things against the Grizzlies when Steven Adams played. The Grizzlies started Xavier Tillman.
I really shouldn't use any kind of Steven
double.
Adams corollaries though, because Steven Adams will like make Joel Embiid look bad sometimes. You know.
Yeah,
he's just a disturbing player.
I think we're going to talk about Steven Adams in a little bit. My apology. I'd like to apologize for, let's say, losing the way, losing my focus. This is like a script note where they say, you lost the story. You lost what you're doing. You lost what you're good at. Like, what are you doing here? And this is for the last show where I ignored what should be a huge story in the journey of Fast Break Breakfast and the overall like narrative arc of our show, years and years of the show. I didn't even talk about something that should have been huge. And that is that the Philadelphia 76ers moved Tyrese Maxey to the bench. So our guy, my favorite player, DeAnthony Melton, could start. I didn't even talk about it on the show. What's the point of having my own podcast?
I had multiple people point this out, and they have theories, Keith.
What are the theories? Is it shame-based? Is it
puritanical? They think that you don't want to live with that Melton could have and probably should have started over Dillon Brooks for the Memphis Grizzlies.
I mean, I think there is an aspect of
not my theory, man.
Like it's too painful type thing. This is like Chuck. This is like Chuck with LeBron, all this LeBron stuff. Like it's a little bit too painful. This is you where you couldn't enjoy Marc Gasol on the Raptors, and I could,
sure.
and I'm enjoying Melton on the Sixers, but sometimes I don't talk about it a lot.
Yeah,
because like I got my own team, and we got Zaire Williams, John Conchar, and David Roddy combining to go 3 for 18 from the field against the Kings. And it's just also funny. I got some feedback for my Grits and Grinds on the YouTube show where like someone's like, do you still don't think the Grizzlies need to make a trade? First of all, I don't think I've ever said the Grizzlies don't need to make a trade. Second of all, they traded away the guy I thought was perfect for what the roster needed. So now I'm like, well, I don't know it. Like, it's weird to come up with fake trades where I'm like, well, we had the guy that I thought was perfect. That meshed perfectly with the roster. So that's why I'm like less excited about making up fake trades.
I don't want to like make up excuses for the Grizzlies or anything, but the thing that does give me solace is I just don't think Taylor was ever going to play Melton the way we wanted him to. And just similarly, like, it doesn't matter what happens, who we sit. Brandon Clark is going to play 19 minutes a game.
I can't get over
matter.
I mean, we can let's record a Grits and Grinds after.
You might as well trade Brandon Clark too.
I can't get over games where Steven Adams is out.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh yeah, we're not going to play Brandon Clark and Jaren Jackson Jr. together.
We have plenty of proof, statistical and otherwise, that BC and JJJ are awesome together.
Yeah.
And I just, I won't, when Tillman started, I made it about 8 minutes into that game.
When the starters were announced, because this is like, if you're not going to start Brandon Clark now, like, what's the point? Like, what are you doing? And the Kings in that game on Monday night, they scored 47 in the first quarter. They made 12 out of 13 3-pointers. Is that even legal in a quarter?
That's the Kings are. We've said it all year. They're flamethrowers at every position.
But going back, so anyway, the Kings scored 47 in that first quarter. That's the most points the Grizzlies have ever allowed in a quarter in regular season in their franchise history. It's tied for the most points if you include the playoffs against the Jazz. In that first round series against the Jazz, they allowed 47 points to them in a first quarter. And tying a bow on the Melton thing, that was the game after Melton had a huge fourth quarter. And then the next game, game 5,
Right.
Doesn't play a minute in the first quarter.
No. Yeah.
They're down 24. They're down 47 to 20 something when he checks in for the first time. And it's like, what are we doing here? What's the point? Anyways, I apologize for not just focusing on the main thing, focusing on the big thing. And that is, Melton staying the starter. I don't know how long it's going to last.
A really good player.
He's displaced like a borderline all-star just because they like the fit. I mean, the Sixers went undefeated on a West Coast road trip. They went 5-0 on a West Coast road trip. The Grizzlies can't win a game in the Pacific time zone. Yeah. The Sixers swept their West Coast trip. They've won 18 of 22. So they're doing something
when
right.
Daryl Morey is willing to trade you a first-round pick for somebody, perhaps reconsider.
Does Daryl Morey have that status still? Because, I mean, technically, when you look at his resume, he did like the Chris Paul for Westbrook, the wrong side of that one.
Truly.
I mean, I know.
I don't know. I think the way he was able to flip things for the Sixers. I mean, I don't care
They're not even playing Daniel House.
I'd much rather have him than Ben Simmons at this moment in time. Dude,
Ben Simmons. The Nets, like Kyrie had what, like 80? He had 86 points in his last 2 games.
Right.
And near the end of one of those games, they were like surprised they haven't put Ben Simmons back in. Like, really? You are?
Oh yeah, what are you watching?
I don't know what you're watching, man.
Kyrie had a 48 on our dearly departed.
Oh man, Mike Conley. That was he? I don't know. He's auditioning to be on the Clippers, but that was that was rough. Anyways, send Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Desmond Bane and all the Grizzlies to the 2023 NBA All-Star Game in Utah this February. You can vote daily through January 21st at NBA.com or through the NBA app. Do your part, everybody. Vote today for the Grizzlies. Get them in the All-Star Game. Also, you can, in the Eastern Conference, vote for D'Anthony Melton. All right, steak and eggs, best thing, John. What's the best thing you saw in the last week?
I feel like very strange about this, considering that it is a game I'd rather forget. Yeah. However, when you have a chance to see Khal Drogo square up against an actual centaur during an NBA basketball game, and that centaur just happens to be the guy who's paired with Skip Bayless on national TV every morning, that's a beautiful thing. That's a Malice in the Palace zeitgeisty event.
Why do you think so? We're talking obviously about Shannon Sharpe and getting in a shouting confrontation with the Grizzlies. There's a lot to break down here. Yes. One, why did Steven Adams undo his hair? Normally when you fight, you're going to want to put it back up. I
think so. I'm a person who looks bad shirtless, right?
Yeah.
Should never be shirtless.
I'll take your word for it. Yes.
If I get mad enough, I'm taking my shirt off. Don't know why.
It just feels like a natural intimidation thing.
It's happened a few times. Is it some kind of like barbarous ape thing? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I think maybe Steven Adams was just like unleashing his Samsonian, or is it Samson-esque potential into Shannon Sharpe's visit, right in his face.
It was like a fluffing the plume.
Yeah, bestowing making gaze upon my work, she mighty in despair.
The next thought, Dillon Brooks, who has been just his quotes after this, calling Shannon Sharpe a regular pedestrian. Like, how can a regular? It's a great question. Why can a regular pedestrian? I think he
meant to say civilian.
Yeah, just a regular ticket. It's a fair question.
So good.
A ticket holder should not be able to just yell and provoke and threaten to fight NBA players without repercussions. But who do you have in the bout? If it is Dillon against Shannon Sharpe, tail of the tape.
Dillon against Shannon Sharpe.
Tail of the tape.
Okay.
Dillon Brooks, 27 years old, 6'7", 220 pounds. Shannon Sharpe, 54 years old, 6'2", 220 pounds. So Dillon has the height, although wingspan, I'm going to guess it might actually be Shannon Sharpe. I don't know who has the longer reach, but you have a man half of his age, very similar. We think of football players as, being huge because there's these gladiators. They're these unbelievably strong athletes in a very violent sport. But sometimes we forget that NBA players are actually gigantic humans, and so
who've
all that
worked and in the cross sport fights, the NBA players have been winning.
Did Frank Gore lose to somebody?
Darren Williams got trucked.
Oh,
but I'm still taking the horse from Ren and Stimpy. Shannon Sharpe is the scariest shirtless man in the world. He's the opposite of me.
So I actually was weirdly looking into this, and I discovered, I guess, Shannon Sharpe takes a lot of pictures of himself and put them on the internet without a shirt on.
Yeah,
and he's very muscular.
Yeah, Dillon Brooks still has like acne. Shannon Sharpe is a perfect hyperbaric chamber constructed monster.
Still,
also, he was wearing a $30,000 sweater that I think there's just way too many variables that just point to the general imbalance in Shannon Sharpe's life.
The next,
they're just different types of guys too.
The next thing about the story that I don't like is Shannon Sharpe apparently apologized. He recorded like a 3-minute apology. I haven't seen it because I feel like if I watch it, he wins. Like, he is a content creator. He got massive publicity for his like.
We all win.
How do we all win?
This is just more Grizz moving to the forefront of the American psyche.
It is Grizz moving to the forefront, but all of my fellow Grizzlies compatriots are being like, oh, what an amazing apology. That's how you accept responsibility. You don't make excuses.
You don't get to say that when you ran to the tunnel to get the first word in.
Yeah, watch for his 3-minute clip on his show to promote it. It's like, I don't care about his apology. I care about his actions.
By the way, this is compared to his cohort Skip Bayless throwing Dak Prescott's jersey away in his kitchen trash.
I also haven't watched that video because I have this thing where I'm like, if I give them a click, they win. And I don't want, so I'm very careful about my clicks. That's just, I don't want to give them the impressions. They're playing the game and winning, and I feel like everyone. I feel like
you need to see the Skip Bayless video because it is somehow more embarrassing than a 54-year-old man getting in a fight with 3 different players, a player's father, multiple refs, and security at a game. While
here's what I need to do. I need
Odo from Beetlejuice.
I need a pirated. I need someone to cell phone record it. I need a pirated version over on my illicit gambling site, and maybe they have a way that Skip cannot get the page view when I check it out. My best thing.
If you can listen to 9,000 Bill Simmons podcasts, you can watch 1 second of Skip Bayless, the other half of ESPN's success story, make a fool of himself.
Bill Simmons has given me so many hours of enjoyment.
Baby, give him the thumbs down.
Bill Simmons is uncancelable.
Truly.
My best thing, you alluded to it, but congratulations to the Los Angeles Lakers firing the first salvo of NBA trade season and reuniting the juggernaut 2020 Washington Wizards. I mean, good job. They've got Russell Westbrook, Troy Brown Jr., Thomas Bryant, and Rui Hachimura. If you have the opportunity to get the 2020 Wizards back together, how are you not going to do that? Also, I mean, I think they might not be done.
Well, they didn't give up much, and they still have picks to give, right?
Well, yeah, they haven't used any of their first round picks.
If the Grizzlies snafu versus them lets them believe that they have enough talent to blow what's left of their equity trying to salvage this season, then I'll consider this a Pyrrhic victory.
I mean, can't you? All right, which one of these players from the 2020 Wizards could the Lakers still get? I feel like Ish Smith, very available. The Nuggets might swap him. You could swap him for something. I think Mo Wagner. I don't know if the Magic are in a hurry to break up their Wagner brother. I think Garrison Matthews, who committed a wild flagrant foul. No, was it? Oh, he got fouled and then got ejected. That was a Rockets Kings melee where like lots of the people ejected were guys on 10-day contracts, and so they lost all their money from getting suspended one game. How about Robin Lopez? Maybe the Lakers don't need another center, although they keep trying out centers. I mean, they got sounds like
Daniel Gafford available.
I don't know. Could you? I mean, obviously, if you threw a first rounder at the Wizards, I don't think they would turn you down for Daniel Gafford. I think here's the one. What about Patrick Beverley for Davis Bertans? Just
Wizards.
Because Bertans was on that team.
Sure was.
Latvian laser. I think the Lakers should keep going. Should keep pushing. Although we make fun of the Lakers sort of for, like, does the win over the Grizzlies give them extra hope or misplaced hope? They don't have misplaced hope. They're in the fray. I mean,
if they get Kuzma back, that means they were reneging on an old trade and getting a Washington Wizard.
Well, apparently the reason the Wizards basically dumped the 9th pick from a few years ago is because they feel like, according to, I guess, Mark Stein, they feel like they're going to be able to re-sign Kyle Kuzma. How far does a Porzingis, Brad Beal, Kuzma big three get you?
I think we're finding out together in real time.
Yeah, I think we're there.
Yeah.
I think they have a similar ceiling to the 2022-2023 Wizards and also Blazers. I think those are very maybe slightly comparable. What about Isaac Bonga? Wasn't he on the Lakers? Did I dream that? Maybe not. I might have dreamed that one. He was. Yeah, Isaac Bonga started his career on the Lakers. They should bring him back. So that will be.
Where is Isaac Bonga out of the league now?
Yeah, he's not in the league right now.
I
wish Chuck was here so we could do a who he played for. Trick Chuck with the old who he played for. No, the Lakers making. I think this is a fine deal for them. Anytime you trade only second round picks, yeah, sure. Bring in a guy who he can score.
I think it's got to be a little troubling to Wizards fans to say goodbye to this player who, if you were to believe, they had a lot of value to them.
Well, he scored 30 like 3 games ago.
Yeah.
We've seen that he's a competent player. So it's like, it's weird to give up on a lottery pick who's not like a total bust for just a scattering of seconds. It's kind of, it's just strange. Whereas like, he's not terrible. He's not great. He's shown flashes, but we're also not committing to him or playing him a lot. And so it's a little bit weird. He had like the biggest grin on his face. Rury did, talking to media a few days ago when they were like, "Are you getting traded?" And he's like, "I don't know." Big grin. And then they're like, "Do you want to get traded?" He's like, "I don't know." Big grin. And then they're like, "Did you request a trade?" And he goes, "No comment," beaming ear to ear. So that was, I guess he's happy. I guess he's like, just get me out of here. And if that's the case, okay, good job, I guess. Wizards.
Can I choose to view this as the Wizards just continuing to gloat, be like, yeah, we have our power forward of the future now, Kyle Kuzma, whom you gave us. So here, take our discarded Flotsam and Jetsam.
So the Lakers have 25 losses. The Timberwolves.
That's all Western Conference teams.
Yeah,
sir.
The Timberwolves have 25 losses. By the way, the Timberwolves like playing pretty well. Gobert finally comes back, and they lose to the Rockets. Kyle Anderson looked like he was going to murder Jalen Green. Then Jalen Green drops 40 points. That was a dark moment for the slow-mo fans. But yeah, so the Timberwolves also had 25 losses. The Jazz have 25 losses. The Trailblazers, who I've been making fun of, they have 25 losses. And then 24 losses. The Thunder, the Warriors, the Clippers, and the Suns. All those teams.
Come on, let's throw 23 losses in there and get the Mavs in there.
Just if you want to rope in the Mavs, 5 through 13 in the West, all have 23 to 25 losses. That's nuts. Like,
say what you will about the Eastern Conference, at least they only have 3 teams in that range.
Yeah, at least we're less excited. All of the Raptors being just they're like the 8th worst team in the NBA, 7th. That's pretty brutal. Those were our best things. Those were our steak and eggs best things. The opposite of that is the cream of wheat worst thing. Jon, what's the worst thing you saw in the last week?
There's so many to choose from, but I'm going to stick with the return of Jonathan Isaac to my once beloved Orlando Magic team. Not only does this kill the minutes of the players I want to see, it kills the vibes. It kills the rootability. I'm just kind of I'm not in a great place about this. This is the team I want to watch for Cole Anthony post-game interviews, not for Jonathan Isaac standing proudly.
Was this the first time ever that Shams Charania was scooped by a pastor? Where Jonathan Isaac's,
I'm gonna say no.
Jonathan Isaac's pastor announces that.
Does Chris Broussard count as a pastor? Because
Jonathan Isaac will be making his season debut on Monday against the Celtics. I mean, first of all, Jon, the Magic won that game.
Yeah.
Against the Celtics. I don't know what that's about. Is this fantasy basketball related? Because, like, I feel like there was an ethical.
You know the Magic have won all their games this year against the Celtics, right?
Oh yeah, they do keep doing that.
Oh, I think they lost the first one, but I think they're 3-1.
3-0. They won 3 in a row.
3-1. Yeah,
they've got their number. There's fantasy repercussions to Jonathan Isaac. Like, how many minutes is he going to play? Do I need to steal some blocks? I don't know. I don't like him personally. I hold that against him. And then how's it going to affect my Markelle Fultz stock and my Bull stock? What am I supposed to do here?
Tanked. Bull stock's tanked.
It's not great. Anyways, my worst thing is that the Atlanta Hawks had their 5-game win streak snapped by a phantom 3-point foul call. Jalen Johnson, Terry Rozier lit up the Atlanta Hawks in this game. I mean, he went off in the second half. But the Hawks had their win streak snapped, and they dropped another one. I felt like the fine line between winning and losing, it just takes one thing to break your momentum. We see it with the Grizzlies. You win 11 straight, you're on your way to 12 straight, and then you have a final minute collapse and blow it against the Lakers, and suddenly you're in a tailspin. But also more than that, it's just it's also like the cherry on the poop sundae is the last 2-minute report, just letting you know what you already know. Like, yeah, we missed that one. Cost the team the game. I mean, it happened in the Grizzlies-Lakers game. Not that we need not that we expect a lane violation to be called in the final seconds, but the league putting out their thing like, hey, we called a perfect last 2 minutes, except for a lane violation on a missed free throw down by 1 with 1.9 seconds left. That's our bad. So it keeps happening, but I feel bad about the Hawks, who I cannot get a grip on. They're up and down. Some days I think Clint Capella is not good at all. Then Trey Kirby tells me he's doing yeoman's work. I'm like, okay, you know better than me. Trae Young, who I just traded for a trade deadline in a fantasy basketball league.
Well done.
I'm all in now,
That's
Trey.
high and low, baby.
Let's get that. Get back to the mean, man. What's the opposite of regression? I need an aggression to the mean.
Aggression.
Give me that aggression to the mean. Trae Young. Anyways, those were our worst things. Before we get to our awards segment of the program, we have a couple of listener submitted questions. The croissant questioner.
Magnus asks, and this is big, Keith.
Okay.
This might happen.
Okay.
Why don't you simply add a kudos to me segment where you point out one thing you were proud of yourself about from the previous week? This podcast needs more segments and it spreads positivity. And Magnus, who is from Germany, I believe, probably doesn't remember or know. There was a breakfast granola bar called a kudos.
Yeah. Oh, that is
so. This is exceedingly on point. Yeah.
We could come.
So I think this is going to happen.
Graphics for this.
Now, is this going to be nearly impossible for certain members, myself and particularly Chuck, to take advantage of? Yes, it will be. as we are very rarely right about things and almost never positive. But unless you count sundry.
So a segment, kudos to me, inspired by Dillon Brooks. I guess big questions are where does it fit in the show format? I mean, where are we going to jam this in? Should it be? I like starting with the penitence of the apology.
Sure, we could do it. We could do it at the end.
Maybe at the end, maybe
bookend it.
Maybe it could be before or after the awards ceremony. I do like saying one thing that we got right. You know, it's never a bad thing to pat yourself on the back, or just something you're proud about. Just something you're.
I know we are loath to prep for shows.
Yeah,
but perhaps a singular kudos to me, discussed amongst us, should be decided upon ahead of time, because I think every week trying to find something that we were right about is going to be a stretch.
I think it could be more the positivity that Magnus is talking about. Just saying something you're happy about. It could just be something that may. I mean, we already have the best actually thing, what but
that's I didn't think of it so writ large.
I mean, here's
also filled with self-loathing. So
here's the kudos to me. Here's something that made me happy. I posted a photo of Dillon Brooks on the internet. And then Desmond Bain and John Morant were laughing about it. And I am not too big to
is
not
the one where the hair goes straight up?
Like I am still tickled to death that NBA players who I cheer for, they laughed at a thing I did. Man, that's awesome.
Kudos to me. I was able to, or kudos to you, but here's a kudos to me. I was able to, seriously, within 8 minutes, it may not even 8 minutes, decipher from looking at the lineups and seeing how hot the Kings were. I was like, I don't need to watch this game. I'm going to have my evening back.
I think let's actually fix this segment. Let's make it even better. I think what it actually should be.
Kudos to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We just both did a kudos to me, which shows the selfish people that we are.
I think we kudos to you.
It has to be a kudos to you. So I have to give you something. You got to give me something.
Now, that's not technically the brilliant Dillon Brooks quote, which has forever changed the course of this podcast and perhaps my life. Yeah. But
you're right.
Magnus, we're going to continue workshopping this.
You are right. I don't think we, as good and as healthy as it would be for us to, like our
kudos to you is just something, some Mitch says to another Mitch. Kudos to me is something that
you're right. You're right.
I was wrong. An insane person says.
Terrible idea by me. When Dillon Brooks called Shannon Sharpe a blogger, which is not wrong. It wasn't wrong. Everyone in this media sphere is a blogger.
I mean, I'm going to call people pedestrians for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
All the negative things I've said about Dillon Brooks.
I think it's important to include regular on there. I initially made a thing that just said pedestrian, and then I regretted it. It should have been regular pedestrian.
Dillon Brooks Mad Libs needs to become a thing.
Well, honestly, like pedestrian is a synonym of regular. When you're using it as an adjective. If it's pedestrian,
it's a double negative.
Yeah. If pedestrian is not the noun, yeah, I love it. What's another? Yeah, we're gonna have a kudos to me segment. That's a great idea. Thank you, Magnus. What's another question we have here?
Let me get in here. Sorry, I'd only prepared the one. We lost. Chuck got a backiotomy and it all fell apart.
I got one here. This was asked. This is perfect for us, although I would have liked Chuck to weigh in. But Charles Crabtree asks, would you trade
Major Dundee
Jaren Jackson Jr. for Pascal Siakam straight up?
No.
This is based on this. A lot of this is based on some rumors of the Grizzlies being highly interested in OG Anunoby. But Charles wants to know, would you trade Jaren Jackson Jr. for Pascal Siakam straight up? You say strongly no. Pascal Siakam is the better player.
I'm like Pete Pranik over here, man. I can't. I've bought in. He's like my large son now.
Yeah. I love
his faults. That's where we are with Jaren.
I also would
last
not
night,
do the deal.
Yeah.
I mean, Jaren's 22.
Right.
He's 6 years younger than Pascal.
I think Pascal Siakam's having an awesome year.
He's fantastic.
But Jaren Jackson Jr. is one of my favorite players to watch in the entire NBA, especially if you like to watch how guys affect the way he affects the game on a large full court spectrum. I think he's one of the more fun guys to watch.
I think he might affect the game on a greater degree than our apology man, Domantas Sabonis. But
I mean, I wouldn't make
debatable.
that trade either. And I know that I'm out of my mind, but that's okay. Kudos to me.
Jaren Jackson Jr. averages more blocks per game than Chuck's Miami Heat.
Right.
Which I thought that stat seemed nuts, but
it didn't seem real.
Apparently, some NBA
That's the
teams
type of stuff you can learn on our playback.
Apparently, some NBA teams only average 3 blocks per game, which I didn't know that was a thing. That seems way too
when
low.
you change your strategy to take charges instead of go for blocks.
Yeah, right.
Profound impact.
Yeah, I mean, would the Grizzlies this season be better if they had Pascal instead of Jaren? I think it's possible. I think that I don't know.
Can we do a brief Grizz breakout?
The whole show's been a Grizz breakout, but sure.
That's a good point. But so I think the Grizzlies don't. All the trades that I hear that people clamor for seem to be offensive in nature. And for me, I feel like we have the offense down. And when I'm thinking of trades, I'm thinking of the playoffs. And I don't want to get another offensive first player on the Grizzlies. I would prefer to have another player who's defensive minded, because we start for our better John Morant, who's someone easily targeted. And I think we could use another defensive stopper as opposed to an offensive player. I know for the regular season that doesn't make sense, but I think for the playoff game, that's what we need. So I would not want to get an offensive-minded player on the Grizzlies.
I would disagree with you, because I do think that the Grizzlies' Achilles heel, which is maybe what I have going on right now,
half-court scoring.
Yeah, it's half-court scoring. It's just
right.
They need buckets, and you see teams, the Lakers and the Suns specifically are like, we're not offensive rebounding. We're just going to make sure the Grizzlies don't ever get in transition, and they're just the Grizzlies. So really,
you would
really
take
struggle.
A shot creator and give up.
I know. So I wouldn't give up much of anything. But see, I mean, Pascal's in this situation. Pascal's a good defensive player. I mean,
that's true.
He's just a better offensive player and a better overall scorer. And I think they could compensate for the lack of Jaren's rim protection. They'd still be fine on defense. I do think the Grizzlies team needs an offensive player. But my thing is, when people say,
so in my head, if we are just like the John Morant Grizzlies. Yeah. We're a middle of the pack Western team. If we're Jaren Jackson Jr. Grizzlies, we're like the best defensive team and an elite team.
Yeah.
So I think I would hate to lose that facet.
Well, that for me, John, is not. Yeah. That's why I tell everyone that I wouldn't trade Dillon Brooks, because I'm like, he's a big part. Which is I don't know if you've been there, because you've been all about trading Dillon Brooks for a while. But for me, that's
after the developments of this year, and I'm referring to purely off-court developments.
Kudos
sometimes
to me
on court, but purely non basketball skill related developments. I would never trade Dillon Brooks for any player ever, because I have never laughed this hard at anyone in
unbelievable stuff. Also, Dillon Brooks keeps repeatedly calling out the NBA officials. He keeps doing it.
And never gets fined.
He still hasn't been fined this year. They're punishing him in trade. They're just punishing, like, he keeps saying the referees are terrible. They're singling him out. They're not calling the games correctly, and the NBA refuses to fine him. They just foul him out. This is bizarre.
There's a play in the Kings game, which is one of the worst shots like you'll ever see in NBA history, and it's now just endearing to me.
Which one was it? I might have blacked out in this Kings game.
He goes, dude, it's been passed around by the Twitterati. He goes for a reverse layup and ends up just throwing the ball straight up into the air.
Oh, yeah.
20 feet into the air.
Yeah.
And the look on his face afterwards is like, yeah, I'll do it again.
That's right. Man, it's better than a turnover. Just throw it up in the air. Give me a chance. Better than landing. Oh man, he's great. Oh man, thanks for the.
I mean, would I rather have Dan? Do I think having Melton on our team makes us closer to a title? Yes, I do. But would I have gotten to watch Steven Adams fight the horseman from Ren and Stimpy if D'Anthony Melton was on our team? No, I wouldn't.
Yeah. Thanks for the questions, everybody. If you want to have your own question answered on air, you have to become a Patreon supporter. Do that at patreon.com/Fastbreak Breakfast. Also, by the way, we will be doing another playback power hour this week. We're going to do it on Wednesday night because the Grizzlies, our Memphis Grizzlies, face the Golden State Warriors, the loathed, hated Golden State Warriors. Can you imagine the online atmosphere if the Grizzlies lose 4 straight?
We've got to get
at the hands of the Warriors.
Some round ball rockers on that one, right?
Oh, I don't know if they want to experience that game with us. Maybe they will, but yeah, we'll be watching.
Look, I like them up during games, so they might as well face me.
They're definitely the best Warriors fans there are. But I don't know if
damning with faint praise.
I don't know if they want to be involved in that. But if any, it's open for everybody, especially Patreon supporters who want to see you in there. But it's open for anybody to come join our playback room, playback.tv/Fastbreak Breakfast. Probably gonna start it midway through the game. We'll call it a soft 9:30 Central. We will be watching that game together. Also want to give a shout out to a listener, Leighton Vazinski. Apparently she's a Grizzlies fan, found our show, really enjoyed it. And so thanks to you, Leighton, for listening and supporting the show. 1 second.
I've forgotten my bar fade away. Give me a second. That's it.
Also, don't miss Lizzo at the FedEx Forum. This April 26th with special guest Lotto. The special tour is coming to Memphis. Tickets are on sale now at Ticketmaster.com or the FedEx Forum box office. All right, it is now time for the awards segment of the program, the International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award, given to the worst performance in a box score. We have a lot to work through here, John. Honorable mentions this week before we get to the actual nominees. Honorable mentions: Tim Hardaway Jr. and Isaiah Stewart, 1 for 10. Killian Hayes, OG Anunoby, 2 for 13. Marcus Morris, 3 for 14. Damian Lillard, 5 for 17. Jason Tatum, 9 for 27. By the way, speaking of Isaiah Stewart and Killian Hayes, what was up with this France trip that just did it break the Pistons? Did everyone get injured?
Duran was so humiliated by losing his passport that he became an all-star overnight.
Yeah, Duran became amazing, but Isaiah Stewart is super hurt now, and Killian Hayes hasn't played since then. And then they gave up 150 to the Bucks last night. Anyways,
I mean, if you told me I could go to France for free and then come back and be rewarded with Wembanyama, and all I had to do was lose every game, I'd be in.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, our nominees this week, we actually have a play-in. John, we have 2 people who will be doing a play-in to be one of the 3 final nominees. It is CJ McCollum versus Damian Lillard. CJ McCollum, in a loss to the Magic, was 6 for 21, had 23 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 steals, 3 turnovers, 1 personal foul. Damian Lillard, in a loss to D'Anthony Melton and the Sixers, was 6 for 21. Had 25 points, 11 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 6 turnovers, 1 personal foul. So McCollum, they were both 6 for 21. McCollum had 23 points, 7 assists, 5 rebounds, 3 steals. Lillard had 25 points, 11 assists, 6 rebounds, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 6 turnovers. So
turnovers are popping for me.
The turnovers really pop for Damian Lillard. I was leaning McCollum, but
this is very beautiful. This is some fearful symmetry.
We can't have a split vote, so I'll go with you. Damian Lillard advances out of the play-in, but he will be eliminated now in the first round.
Yes, he will
against our next 2 nominees.
Yes,
so we have Damian Lillard with the aforementioned 6 for 21 line. Then O'Shea Brissett of the spiraling Pacers. They need Halliburton real bad. Brissett was 1 for 11 in a loss to the very sturdy and tough Oklahoma City Thunder. Brissett, 1 for 11, 5 points, 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 1 turnover. No personal fouls. Perhaps try. Brissett with that awful 1 for 11 game going up against a true Stackhouse line. And it's Ja Morant.
Yeah.
Ja Morant against the Lakers, 9 for 29. 22 points, 8 assists, 3 rebounds, 5 turnovers, 3 personal fouls. So we've already said it's not Damian Lillard. Is it O'Shea Brissett with the more disgusting, the worst shooting percentage, 1 for 11, 5.6 rebounds, or the high volume of Ja Morant, 9 for 29, 22 points, 8 assists, 5 turnovers?
We discussed it when we left the watch party. We knew this moment was coming. It's Ja Morant.
Without a third voice to break any possible ties, I'm going to agree with you and give it to Ja Morant.
20 misses.
20 misses in a game.
A truly odious performance, by the way.
A very Stackhausian performance.
Did not pass the eye test either.
We were talking about this. Speaking of Jerry Stackhouse, so congratulations to Ja Morant for winning this week's International Stackhouse of Pancakes Award.
Oh, here's some more playback centric.
That's what I'm saying. In our last playback, we had this discussion with Kelly Dwyer talking about, do you think the scoring title should go to the most points per game or the most total points? Because we had some scoring titles that would have gotten swapped back in the like last year. This blew my mind. I just forgot this. Trae Young did not win the scoring title, but Trae Young scored the most points in the NBA last season. Also had the most assists, by the way. Like, should the scoring title, should the blocks leaders, like, this is the blocks per game silliness with Jaren. He's 3rd in the NBA in total blocks, but doesn't qualify for blocks per game. So what do you think, John? Are you a total points for the scoring title, or do you think it should go to points per game? For, of course, the qualifiers.
I am for Kobe and AI erasure, so I'm in.
Total points, then.
Mm-hmm.
We were looking back historically. AI loses a handful of scoring titles.
Yes,
to like Garnett actually won a scoring title one year. If you go with most
outrageous,
total points.
changes everything
About history. If you don't go by points per game, because like
Stackhouse in the Hall of Fame,
30 points per game in 65 games, or 29 points per game in 80 games. Well, all right. I think for me, I'm more inspired by the resting of players now. Or just like the Grizzlies lose to the Kings, Ja Morant doesn't play. Is he truly hurt? No one knows. But you assumed second night of a back-to-back, there's a good chance he doesn't play. And then the injury report comes out. You're not surprised that, he's on there. He's questionable. And then he's not going to go. So I don't know. Reward the Iron Men. Let Mikal Bridges win something. Anyways, par fadeaway, John. What things are you looking forward to in the coming week?
I'm just enough of a Karen that the Lakers' recent performances have me excited for Lakers Celtics on Saturday.
Oh, look at you. Nice historic rivalry.
Some good game. I mean, I always like Embiid, Jokic on Saturday. Saturday's just a very good slate, starting at 2 all the way through. Just a good slate.
We got a good 2 o'clock game. We might have to play back that one as well. Man, matinee basketball, I am in.
Indeed.
I'm looking forward. I keep saying it. But are we going to get some big trades now? Are we going to actually see? Are the Raptors going to blow it up?
I feel like that era has passed us by, but I hope not. I'd love to see some large trades.
Everybody's still in it. So it seems
they all have 23 to 25 losses. No one's out.
I mean, it seems like it would, like the Jazz have to trade some of their players. They have too many players. Are you guys building around Colin Sexton? Like, are you guys building? Apparently, they're building around Jordan Clarkson.
All NBA Larry Markkinen, according to Zach.
I mean, they're not trading Larry Markkinen, but like, they have so many guys. Seems like you would shuffle one around. The Clippers make a trade every single year. They got to do something. I know these teams are itching to win it. Also, that the league is wide open. The league is
the consensus now. It seems is the Grizzlies are not making a trade.
That's my mind tells me that when I analyze what's going on and what they've done recently. But then I'm hearing that they are aggressively in pursuit and interested.
I know they've been sending like representatives to games, etc. But I
every
guess
NBA team
every team does that, right? Yeah.
someone who paid for Twitter Blues, like there's scouts here. It's like, yeah.
Yes. At Raptors games, etc.
Yeah. Those people live in Toronto.
Well, I'm the guy who watched.
Not Chris Wallace.
I'll watch the Skip Bayless videos. So. They have me there. You have to see it. It is Steve Coogan level self-immolation. So glorious. And remember when Skip Bayless does this stuff, remember he's like 80 years old.
Yeah.
And jacked. Him and Shannon Sharpe are both on human growth hormone, by the way.
I watched Top Gun Maverick and loved it, and was also like, Tom Cruise is like 70.
Yeah.
He's not that old, but I was still like, this man is so old. So
that was 100 years of cinematic glory laying on that bed between him and Jake on.
Yeah.
120 years.
Anyways, if you want to support our show, again, do that at patreon.com. Come join the Slack. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Subscribe to the Grits and Grinds YouTube channel. Join our playback on Wednesday night. And we'll see you guys there. Thanks for listening. You guys are the best. And remember, breakfast is the most important thing.